So in milking the system, back to like cattle, where I'm going with this is space cowboys, a little prelude to how out there this is gonna get. The virus, we can keep milking the system where the Federal Reserve prints out money and stuff happens that you would never even hear unless I told you that like Texas has paid $3 billion for contact tracers for the future. And so there's so much money that's getting poured out where it gets to these realistic things that it's called like a paper tiger, where like if you would stack all the $1 bills that's taken from COVID, it would reach from any point you stand on Earth, it would from there be elevated up past the moon. And so when you get actual realizations like this, and then you have like an AI running the curb where we need to bend the curb in order to beat any of it, and if we're all like rallying behind it, like this is the right way, and is paving the way just for you to like roast your insides with booster shots for the rest of your life, you kind of have to scratch your head before any of this happens and think, well, do I want to like help cultivate this whole situation and hope it doesn't escalate, or should I try to maybe like look at the virus and think of it being as like, well, a raw material to say the least, and then it could be like looked at either as a seed or a soil, whatever. Which one would I think it would rather be? Maybe a state in between. If it was being germinated, it could kind of be both of either, where it would like burn up in a satellite can burn up in the atmosphere, or a dissolving sugar granule inside water. It dissolves. Maybe the virus is in between the state of being a seed and the soil if it is dissolving into it. And where we're going with this is that in outer space there's comets up there, and if you want to have elements in your comets, you go mining for them. And what billionaires are proposing, that you go up there and do that when the atmosphere is water, but then also in the outer space the most prevalent element anywhere in outer space is hydrogen, and that's part of like what a water molecule is. So if you want to go and start being a space cowboy and farming up in outer space, it would be probable if you had the right material and the right tools with the infrastructure in order to, you know, have a plan B instead of running par for the course, which is wearing a mask for the rest of your life and getting hit with different scientists that you trust the science. You need to trust the science is based off the AI emulations and simulations. The AI simulations is it's sad to say, not looking out for you. There's very interesting ways that the universe has water all in it, because it was first made with hydrogen all in the atmosphere, not in the outer space. If you were to point your finger at the virus and say, is it a seed or a soil, which one do you think it would best be represented at? When you see roadkill, it's like a flat thing because it's had all its water sucked out of it because it's been there for days, so it starts turning into like a sheet of leather. And what popcorn does is the opposite. When it gets heated up, the kernel has water in its seed, and then the seed starts to boil, and then it pops once it gets stronger than its outer shell. AI has, when it doesn't have like a way for it to go, is it starts making dual error correction, where it finds the answer by calculating wrong ones. Every direction is the universe spreading out, and anywhere you look, it is light traveling to you from the past. And this is where I'm doing square dancing, and written is that AI is like a blast from the past as well, because it is not an embodiment of life. And so where's the cutoff threshold where it's calculating all the wrong answers and coming up with like really accurate things, but you're not a wrong answer even though you're going to die? would be not to get turned into roadkill, because when you're a roadkill, then all the stuff in your body is just going to dry out and crisp to the road, and you'll need like a spatula to. If you asked a robot and it had an AI system that could level with you, it would say, what do you want? If you're trying to say, I want there never to be a virus again, it would say, well, you have two variables. You're going to need infinite amount of money and also a connection to the Emperor of China. To impress the Emperor, because he's part of a two-tier system, that's how he got his position. The following request to the Chinese Emperor would be just as likely as the robot giving you an answer feasible without having the notion of trying to trick you in the first place. That would be on a scale equal to asking the Emperor the following side note. That's what the problem between humans and robots. The robot, if it was leveling with you, it would really say something like that. Whereas like humans, we tend to look at the variables and have questions on how to get there. How to achieve the connections to an emperor. How to achieve infinite money. This is not the questions that the robot had to ask for you to even have that. And so that is, the sound structure is like where all the mathematics in the world, those are all stapled, but you learning them is like open as like the possibility for evolvement off those is what the robot doesn't have of what you do have. However, the downside is that we have limited time, whereas the robot is infinite because it's not real. Our time being alive is where it ends. Even for Jesus, the most powerful human alive, got put on the cross and he died. He did come back to life, but and then he still is alive, but we don't mention those. Those are our secret weapons as Christians. We don't like it. So in that disregard, even though the robot seems like it is all prolific and having the best advice of like a genie in the bottle. No, genie in the bottles don't give advice, they give wishes. What was the allegory? The crystal ball, there you go. If the robot seems like it's a crystal ball with always having the right answer, you're actually more prolific because you're open to opportunity when it has a staple for none such.